Begin Self-Publishing, episode number 101, Mobile Video with Amanda Webb.
Interested in self-publishing but don't know where to start? Want to get your book onto Amazon? Want to hold your paperback book in your hands? Learn how on the Begin Self-Publishing podcast with your host, Tim Lewis.
The guest on this episode is Amanda Webb, who's somebody I've met at multiple conferences. The purpose of today's episode is to talk about mobile video. I did Amanda's Go Do Video course in London, and to be honest, I was extremely impressed by what you can actually do with videos on a mobile phone, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to get Amanda on the show to talk about the same topic. I mean, we all think that you need like expensive cameras and things to do video, but in today's world, with only maybe a small amount of extra equipment, you can actually do very, very good videos on mobile phones. And certainly I think most self-publishers, as they're fairly cost conscious, would be quite keen to use something they've already got to create decent videos. So now over to the interview. Hello, Amanda, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Why should people consider using smartphones for creating video?
Well, I think the nicest thing about a smartphone is you have it on you at all times. So you're always able to capture the moment, what's happening right now. Prior to smartphones with decent cameras, anyway, I was just going through it today for a blog post, the things that I've shot my videos on. I started with my webcam with an overheating computer sound in the background. And then I went through remember those flip cams you used to get? They were really trendy at one stage. They were USB, so you could plug them straight in. I had one of those. I had a Bloggy. And then I had a series of other cameras that were just stills cameras that you could shoot video on. And now I have a DSLR, which I've never used to shoot video because the camera on my iPhone 7 is as high quality as the DSLR for shooting video. And that's a nice thing. You have your phone with you. You don't need to carry any fancy equipment. You can just go out with your mobile phone and shoot video now, straight away.
Now, something you mentioned in your training session was this thing called storyboarding. What is storyboarding and how can it help people to create interesting videos?
Yeah, I think storyboarding is a really important part of planning your videos. When we're thinking about blog posts, we tend to write down a few notes about what we're going to talk about, and that works really well because that's a written medium. The problem is we're going to do the same when we go and shoot a video, and if we've got lots of different shots, and we should have lots of different shots in our video if we're going to keep people interested, we kind of forget to shoot different things. So they can very often end up just us talking to camera or just one shot with us talking over the top. When we're planning something visual, we really should do it visually. And that's where a storyboard comes in. It's like making the notes that you might write for a blog post, but you're doing it visually on a storyboard. And all a storyboard is, you can either download a storyboard blank online, I have one, or you can just get a piece of paper and draw some like screen-sized boxes on it. And in each box, you just draw a rough outline of what you want to happen in the scene. And you don't have to be a big artist to do this, because you often see these like really amazing storyboards that they create for films. And you think, oh, I have to draw in this detail. All you need to do is to draw like stick men and then just think about the different sizes of shots you need. So for people, that would be you'd have a close-up shot, a medium shot, which would be down to the waist and something in between. So you've got your stick man that is just a head and shoulders. You've got your stick man all the way down to his waist with all his arms. And you've got your stick man, which is head and shoulders and a little bit more, maybe his tie showing as well. And that gives you an idea of the size of shot you want to get. But then you need to start thinking about what else can I slot in? What else is going to make this interesting? So for my own podcast, I shot a little trailer recently about why you should listen to podcasts. And I thought, well, how can I make all the reasons that you should listen to podcasts interesting? So instead of me just saying what they were, like I would in a blog post, point 1, do this, point 2, do this. I went and shot little kind of scenes that gave you an example that you could listen to a podcast while you were driving your car. So I pretended to be driving my car. Never shoot video when you are actually driving your car. And did a kind of little shot of me driving my car. I did a little shot where I was pretending to be in the shower. People love it. They think it's hilarious. And that's just me thinking about the different shots that I can put into a scene to make the whole video more entertaining. So that's what your storyboard does. As soon as you start thinking visually, you can start planning those visual elements. And it also means that you won't forget them. You won't forget what it is that you're supposed to be shooting.
Yeah, that's one of those things that when I was preparing for this interview, it's like, oh yeah, maybe I should do more storyboarding with my own videos. But it's like, it's clearly a good idea to do those sort of shots.
Even just scribble something on a bit of paper. I think people get put off by the word storyboarding. The whole thing sounds frightening. Just instead of writing down what you're going to say, draw a little picture and then write a little note below what you're going to say in each picture. And it can be just on the back of an envelope anywhere, just to think about it visually before you start looking through the camera.
Yeah. Okay. So after I attended your video training session, I went out and purchased an item of equipment from Amazon. Do people need to buy expensive equipment to create really good videos?
No, absolutely not. I'm laughing and I'm wondering, is that piece of equipment that you bought? I think I know what it was. It was my favorite piece of equipment for shooting videos. A selfie stick?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah, with a tripod on it. So it was multifunctional.
Yeah, you got a fancy one. Yeah. So my favorite thing is a selfie stick because I shoot. So it's not that I'm really cheap. I don't see the point of spending loads of money when you can get exactly the same thing for a little amount of money. Now, there's loads of fancy video equipment I want, but I don't need it to create a video. And it's like, I remember when I was a kid, my dad suddenly decided he was going to start cycling. So he bought a really fancy racing bike, a helmet, pumps, tools, everything. And the bike never left the garage. Yeah. And that's the problem with equipment. You can use it as a procrastination thing. You can go, well, I'm going to get all this amazing equipment and then I'm going to shoot a video. And the video never happens. So simple things, a selfie stick, because I shoot video by myself, it's really useful because I can get all sorts of angles. I can shoot angles with myself. I can use it to stabilize the camera. So I can just lean it up against the wall and get a good angle on the camera. And it's just, you can get lovely kind of walking, talking shots, which I'm a big fan of. I think those work really well. So that's my number one piece of equipment, really. Other really expensive equipment that I have a selfie light. A selfie light is just like a little ring of LEDs. It's battery operated and it slots on the top of your phone and it lights up whatever's in front of it. So whether it's you or something else that you need to illuminate, it works really well. I think I paid $5 for that on Amazon. Amazon is your friend for all this stuff. If you do have a proper tripod, you can get like a little adapter that goes onto the top of the tripod that will hold your phone onto it. So that's one thing. If you did want to kind of use a proper decent tripod, you're going to need to get a fitting. And I've got one again. I think it was about $5. It's made by Mudder and it just stretches so it'll fit any iPhone size or any smartphone size. Other phones do exist. And it fits to the top of your tripod so that you can use it, with decent stability. Again, if nobody else is there to shoot the video, you're going to need something, a selfie stick or a tripod for that.
Yeah.
They're the three key bits I think you need. And if you want to expand, you can buy a microphone. And again, I've got like this tie mic, a lavalier they're called, and it's got a really long cable so I can get a really long way from the camera and it will still pick up the sound. And that's the problem with a phone, because if you get a long way from your phone can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, so that's one of the things that I've been using. I've got like one of these Rode mics. It's not particularly long, but I use it with a sort of selfie stick with on its tripod mode. So I'm just like holding it up. How important is audio in terms of phone thing? You're saying like, obviously you probably don't want to hold, if you haven't got a mic, you probably don't want to be holding the phone too far away from yourself if sound's important.
Mm-hmm. If you're outside as well with a lot of noise around, you want to make sure. I think there's two schools of thought for this, and I don't know which way I'm swinging really. Before Facebook, let's say before Facebook video, not before Facebook, but before Facebook video took off, I would have said the sound was more important than the video, because people will forgive a jerky shot or whatever, from that point of view. But people would want, as long as they could hear it properly, they'd keep watching. If they could hear it properly, they'd be able to know what was going on. But now things have changed. Facebook have really changed because of the way that we see our Facebook videos with the sound off automatically. That's how we see them on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We have to physically switch on the sound if we want to hear it. So from that point of view, if you're looking at using those networks, you need to make it look as enticing as possible in order to either get people to keep watching and have subtitles, or to get people to switch the sound on. And putting up a sign saying switch the sound on, by the way, is rubbish, because I'm not going to until I know what it is. Is it worth me switching the sound on for? I've got an example, actually. I can't remember, it was some parenting site had put up a video, and all the way through it, the mother in the video was eating ice cream out of an ice cream tub. And halfway through it, she poured her glass of wine into the ice cream tub. And I was like, what? Why is she doing that? And that made me switch the sound on. So you need to have something. And I still don't know, by the way. I watched the whole video through 3 times to try and work out why she put the wine in. And I even showed it to friends. So a stunt like that can really work for me.
Yeah, so the ice cream wine pouring trick, if you want people to listen to your show. Okay, so a question that everybody asks, and is a well-known video question. What tips can you give people so that they can actually appear good on video?
Well, I think the first thing is just do it. Our video workshops are called Go Do Video because it is a case of just go and do it, which, we can think all the reasons, the million reasons why we're not going to shoot a video today. And I relate to that totally. It took me a long time to be brave enough to do a live video. Take it a step at a time. So instead of thinking I'm going to shoot a 3-minute video, use something like Snapchat or Instagram stories and just do like your 10 seconds or 15 seconds, depending which network you're on. And just talk for 10 seconds or 15 seconds into an Instagram story. And then you've broken the ice. You've done it for your first time. And it's amazing how quickly you can build confidence doing something along those lines, because that's how I built up my confidence to do the live video. After a while, I stopped brushing my hair before I went on Snapchat. I started looking as scruffy as I normally do when I went on Snapchat. And then I knew I was ready. I do brush my hair for my live video, but then I knew I was ready for live video because I was willing for all my Snapchat followers to see me looking like I really do look in the mornings. I was ready to go live. So that's one thing that can really help you. Something else you can do is picture the person you're talking to. So think of somebody you actually like and pretend you're talking to those. Don't look at yourself, because if you look at yourself, then you start fixating on what you look like. And I know this whenever you go live on like a webinar or anything, the first thing I can see is my hair, and I start doing my hair. You've seen it. You've seen it, like people on Periscope and Facebook Live. And the first thing they do, Gary Vaynerchuk does it all the time. He messes with his hair a little bit to make sure he looks okay. So the trick for that is not to look at yourself. So Eamon, who I work with on the Go Do Video workshops, he has an idea where you don't have the screen facing you on your phone. So, you can see yourself. If you do that, you turn it around and stare into the camera. It takes a little bit of setting up in advance to make sure, that you're in frame and stuff. But if you do it, it means that you're looking people in the eye. If you're looking down the lens of the camera, you're looking people in the eye rather than looking at yourself. So that's a good trick. I'm not brave enough for that, but it's a good trick if you do it well. But just remember, your focus is on the camera itself, not on you. If you look at you, it looks like you're looking down at the screen. And now I've told you that, next time you look at an Instagram story, you're going to see loads of people that are looking at themselves rather than looking at the lens of the camera.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing some LinkedIn videos now that you can do LinkedIn videos. Mm-hmm. And I have been told off for people for not wearing a suit on LinkedIn on my videos. And I'm just like, well, I'm doing the videos and you're not. So it's kind of, I think there is a certain amount of just doing it is the biggest thing. Things like brushing your hair and it's optional.
You don't have much hair, so that's fine. I have a lot of hair.
Yeah. I'm not losing my hair.
You're not wearing a suit to work. Why would you go and put a suit on to go on LinkedIn? That's kind of my thinking as well. This is what the two of us that do the Go Do Video workshops, Eamon is always very smartly dressed. He's a shirt and tie and, suit or casual sports jacket. I don't even know the language for what he wears, but that's him. Whereas I'm very casual, and we're kind of going, but that fits our audience. His audience is very professional. My audience is, social media. Yeah. So I like to think I can get away with the casual look.
Okay. And this is another great perennial question that people ask about phones. What mobile apps can people use to help them create interesting videos?
There's so many out there, and I was scrolling through my phone. The first one is, you may remember there was a social network called Vine for a while that Twitter owned, that you could make 6-second videos, and that got closed down. But they released a version of it, which isn't a social network, but does the same thing, called Vine Camera. And that's one of my favorites because we use it in training a lot, because it helps people condense what they need to say into 6 seconds. And you can create multiple shots within those 6 seconds. So it's a really good way to practice your storyboarding, putting a few shots together within Vine Camera. Really simple to use. You just hold your thumb on the screen for as long as you want to shoot. When you take your thumb off, it stops and you can change your shot and do it again. So it's a really good introduction to using video. So that's one of my favorites. And Instagram and Twitter video do pretty much the same. You can do a similar thing to that. It's just it gives you a lot more space. And I like giving people that limit, because I think if you give them a limit, you're going to be a bit more creative. I do really like Boomerang, which when we talk about video, we talk about the different sorts of videos you're going to create. You're going to have your longer videos, which, are you doing a tutorial or maybe a testimonial from someone? Those are your long, intense videos, but you've got other video content that you create for social media that can be quite quick. So things like Boomerang, which I'm sure you've heard of, most people have heard of, it's owned by Instagram. It creates a 6-second looping video or a 3-second looping video. They're a bit like GIFs and they're really good for a little bit of movement. Something like that is really good just for catching the eye and catching people's attention and entertaining them. So I'm a big fan of that. Instagram's other app, Hyperlapse, which is iPhone only, annoyingly. It's also really good. That creates time-lapse videos and it kind of stabilizes it as well. So it's really good if you're going on a journey or something. It speeds up the whole scene. Flippergram is a good one. Flippergram we use for, on the day of our Go Do Video workshops, we give everyone a little postcard where they can write about how brilliant we are. I think you filled one in.
Yeah.
So something I did for a testimonial video for Go Do Video was I just took a photo of each of those and I can bring them into Flippergram and it creates like a slideshow. So it goes from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. So we've got a nice video and it's a really nice way to display those testimonials rather than uploading an album with 30 different cards. It's a nicer way to display it, I think. So Flippergram's good. And there's lots of fun things you can do with Flippergram as well. There's another, Filmic Pro. So if you're hardcore about your video, Filmic Pro is a really nice app. It does cost money. Basically turns your phone into a proper, I was going to say camcorder. That's really old. A proper video camera. So there's things like I trained in film and TV before I got into digital marketing. But one of the things you'd always do at the beginning of a shoot is a white balance. And that means that sometimes you'll see a video where people are inside and they look really orange or they look really green. You've seen that thing. Or if they're outside and they look really blue. Well, a way to kind of make sure that everything is kind of the same color, so whether you're shooting inside or outside, is to point a traditional camera at a white piece of paper. You press a button and it takes the light and it will balance it so it doesn't look too blue, it doesn't look too orange, or it doesn't look too green, depending on the light. You can do that with Filmic Pro. You can kind of blur backgrounds. You've got a lot of control over your exposure. It's a really, really nice app. And they actually proper people, not people like me, like proper production companies use Filmic Pro to shoot documentaries from their mobile phone. There's an Irish one called The Collectors. The entire thing was shot on an iPhone using Filmic Pro. So if you want to try something a little bit more sophisticated, you can look at that. Then there's Apple Clips. I could go on all day.
I've got about another 10 I could add if you want, but yeah.
Oh, there's one called something to do. Lomix. Yeah. I'm really liking Lomix. It was one of the ones we mentioned on the day, which you can create. It's almost like a comic strip, but it's animated. So you go from one slide to another slide to another slide, and it puts a kind of comic effect over the top. So far, I've used it to create a picture of me eating Chinese food, but I really enjoyed playing with it. And it does add it makes you think of the storytelling elements of video, which is one of the reasons I really like it.
Okay. I'm going to add in a bonus question, which I didn't tell you about in advance.
That's okay.
Shock horror. It just occurred to me, some people are going to be saying, well, should they be holding the mobile phone vertically like they normally would, or should they be doing all their video horizontally? What are your opinions on this horizontal versus vertical debate?
Okay. I have a like and a dislike, and then I have reality. So because I'm traditionally trained, I think I hate vertical video, but I am willing to admit that vertical video is a very important thing now, because the way we have consumed video has changed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need to ask yourself. If you're shooting something that is going to be watched on computers, if you want something that's a little bit more traditional looking, if you think people will be like streaming it to their TV, if it's a longer kind of piece, I would say horizontal, because look at your computer screen, look at your TV screen. That's the way they're designed, to view videos that way. If you're creating something that is going to be viewed on a mobile phone, vertical video is going to work in most cases better. I still don't like the way it works on YouTube, but it works really well on Facebook. I mean, you can't do Instagram stories or Snapchat horizontally because that's just annoying for the people who view it. They have to turn their phone around, and why would they bother? They're just going to skip straight past you. On Facebook, if you post vertical video, when people click on it, it expands and fills the whole screen. So great, no distractions, no Facebook distractions. They're going to watch more. I suppose the compromise is square video. So I tend to, when I'm posting on Facebook, I use, here's another tool, InstaSize, to put a square background on my video with my logo on, or if I'm feeling sophisticated, I'll put some more stuff on that square background. And that's what I'll post to Facebook. And my views have gone up since I started putting square video on Facebook. So definitely worth looking at that as well. But Snapchat and Instagram has to be vertical. There's no two ways about it. There's no arguing. Vertical video is here, it's important. As much as I hate it, it's a thing.
Yeah, I've always been amazed at the sheer vitriol that people have towards vertical video.
You can't see things properly. It's like, you want to see a proper landscape. If I'm shooting a landscape vertically, you're going to have to spend a lot more time looking to see the whole landscape. That's why horizontal is called landscape. If it's talking head, it really doesn't matter, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's just about wrapped up all the questions I was going to ask. How can people...
You don't want me to rant anymore, no?
Well, I could think about some other topics that you can rant about to do in video, but we talked about lighting, we talked about sound, we talked about apps, we've talked about vertical video. So unless there's anything... Is there anything else you wish I'd asked you that I haven't asked?
We could talk about captioning, actually, because that's kind of important, I suppose. We talked about having the sound off.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing. It's one thing I'm doing at the moment, because I just put a whole load of videos up on YouTube for Go Do Video. And it's really important, because we know so many people watch the video with the sound off, that you have subtitles on your videos. So the nice thing is that YouTube will automatically caption your videos for you. But also YouTube doesn't quite know what you're saying. So you have to go in and edit those. But if you do that, that gives you what we call an SRT file that you can download and you can use on Facebook. However, Twitter and Instagram haven't really and LinkedIn haven't caught up with that yet. You can't upload a captions file. So if you use Camtasia, which is an editing tool, that allows you to actually burn your captions into your video. Yeah. So that's one solution. Or you could use Apple Clips, which I kind of half mentioned earlier, which will caption you in real time. It's not that good at understanding what you say, so you have to kind of speak slowly, but it does do a good job. So captioning, thinking about those people that are never going to switch the sound off unless you're going to pour your wine into your ice cream. You need to really have some way that they can see what you're saying.
Yeah, there's probably a caption underneath saying, pouring wine into ice cream. You're like, what? Mate, you turn the sound on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my final question. So how can people find out about Amanda Webb and the things you do?
I am spider working everywhere, on Twitter, on Facebook. Well, on Facebook, I'm Amanda Webb spider working. But if you see spider working and there's no real spider, because I'm actually scared of them, if there's no real spider involved, that's me. For Go Do Video, I've got a page on my website with all the most recent workshops. So that'll always be there, not just publicising the ones we have coming up now, which is spiderworking.com/Go Do Video. So if you visit that, you can see when we're coming to a town near you to teach you how to make a video from your mobile phone.
That's sort of UK and Ireland, I'm guessing, at the moment, is your current...
At the moment, but look, if you want us to come somewhere nicer... Oh, sorry. I mean, if you want us to come somewhere more exotic...
So you just managed to alienate your main audience by saying that the UK and Ireland is terrible. And then...
lovely.
Yeah, so... well, thanks very much for being on the show today, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please stop by iTunes and rate and leave a review. This helps make the show more visible. For free resources, show notes, and other helpful content, join the community at beginselfpublishing.com.